Hey, how's it in the name of Christ? What's going on? It's Garabo. Hope you're good. Peachy, stellar, and all that stuff. That's how I sound today. I am getting better day by day. I think I'm at a point where I'm just like coughing out the rest of this nastiness in my chest, following which I shall be alright. Tomorrow's Monday. I am torn, I'm conflicted. I don't want to worsen the condition as to whether or not I should work out, but I can't wait for this thing to clear before I work out again, because then it's gonna regress me. I've already taken a week off, so we'll see what happens. It is the 15th of October, so you're not going to be seeing this content immediately because I'm lagged behind by a day. And I only published my content 2 days later in the morning, so I'm a little behind in terms of current affairs only because I am recording late. No, I'm recording on time and editing on time, but I'm only uploading and publishing later, so it doesn't really matter because I need to capture my experiences in order for life to be better. Alright, caveat, let me put it out there. I'm not even sure if I want to wear makeup today, using an app, because I don't know, just not in the mood. Even this wig, I just threw it on because frankly I was just wearing this doogie and I was like, should I, shouldn't I? And I made a decision that I should. So yeah. But if I am, just in case I make a decision to put makeup on, it's an app. It's gonna bounce up and down on my eyebrows like a baby. Another caveat, my silence detection takes out some of my words and I'm really frustrated with it, but whatever, that's just life. I'm currently going through a lot. My captions are not always accurate, but I like them. They're cute. If you prefer more accurate ones, go for YouTube captions, but even they sometimes are not that accurate, so we don't know. Don't have time to be editing them. Yet another caveat, I use CapCut captions that have no regard for God. It is, after all, a Chinese software. So for those reasons, they just continuously keep on putting God with a small g. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't, but it's China, and at this point I don't have time to be editing captions, so do not imagine me as an irreverent person. No more caption, no more caveats. I don't know if there's another one that you feel like I should highlight. Well, I didn't. Whoops. I don't have a comments section. It's intentional. Life is too heartbreaking for me to have a comments section. Alright guys, you know what, my heart is broken. When you date a serial killer and you just have no idea. Well, in my particular life, I have dated 2 serial killers, and I don't even know how that happened. How did I draw to myself a serial killer? It's like being a girlfriend to one of them dudes in Hamas. Who does that? Or even a wife of one of them dudes in Hamas. Who does that? A whole murderer, but you are just making out with him. Anyway, I guess that's just my life. Okay. I'm frustrated and I'm very upset. Not only that, I am afflicted spiritually with a new death spell from my ex-boyfriend, and he's just gone to a new low. Like I said, I'm not when you out here in these uneasy streets dating a current or a future serial killer. My ex was a future serial killer. Should have seen that coming because all the signs were yawning. And the dude in America that went all the way to becoming my fiance, for crying out loud. He'd already scattered some cadavers in these streets, and I proper was busy talking to that guy. Sometimes I wish there would be a whole alarm bell just beaming, just glowing on the forehead of some people, red, amber, green. I mean, nobody is entirely safe in anybody's presence because human beings really suck. People will hurt you, you can never really be 100% safe in anybody's hands, but there are people who are green, there are people who are amber, and then there's red zone. Avoid. Since you can't avoid human beings permanently, all of them, just hermit yourself up, then make a decision as to what you're prepared to take as a human being, in a friend, a lover, a fiance, a cousin. When they start beaming yellow, amber, when green starts to graduate to amber, that it's time for me to start, say goodbye. Yeah, time to say goodbye. On some girl, I know we've been tight, but we're gonna be hanging out a lot less because I have to study all the time. So spend less time because you something in their body is brewing that is picked up by this alarm bell on the forehead that is going to render them a future menace. And so the farther away you are from them at the date of their complete transformation to red zone, you're better. It's the better. The farther you are away from that season, the better. Because some people are green at certain places in their lives, right? Certain times, like when they're kids, everybody's kind of green. Yes, you do get menacing children that are serial killers, that butcher parents and take swords to school and kill other kids because of whatever. Like they've been abused or they've been watching too much crazy TV. But largely, children are green. But then as we get older as adults, there's like amber alerts everywhere. And it is the responsibility of the individual that is seeing this amber alert to flee before it gets to red. And I had all the signs with my ex. I had amber alerts. In the beginning, it was all green. I had amber alerts for days. And if I had left earlier, if I had listened to my gut feel, my hunch at the very beginning, and not even dated him at all, because I had that gut feel / hunch. I had it from the very get-go. I should have just listened to the amber alert that was on his forehead on the day I met him. But then I decided that, nah, this is safe. And in the beginning, he wore somewhat green, and then he just went all amber. And when things went red, I was still hanging. And now I've got another death curse all up in my grill from him, and I don't even know what in the world to do. Because I can't let in this war. The suicide curses are out of this world. Like, there's so many. And God did say that before the rapture happens, I'm going to be perpetually pursued by suicide. And when one spell fades off, another's going to be thrown at me. Bomb. And my cousin was busy recently. This random American dude is always all up in that business. I'm just waiting for him to pass away because God showed me he's going to get gunned down. So he needs to go. All right. Some cult in South Africa, just when I have prayed away nonsense and I'm conquering and I'm smiling and I'm laughing and I've got like a whole jocose thing going with me in the way that I'm reporting the messages that I report, another one slaps me. And last night I was hit by my ex-boyfriend, and not just him, but it was a combination of my ex-boyfriend and my former boss. Like, what's going on there? I'm actually thinking, ain't nobody looking at me, ain't nobody listening to me. Nobody is even responding appropriately to my content. America has been this gargantuan beast, shadow banning the living daylights out of me. So I should be nicely hidden even from witches. But I guess that's just the devil for you. He will cause people to find a shadow banned person insofar as they're devil worshippers. I've got so many problems. The people who happen upon my content, a lot of them just so happen to be involved in demon worship. They're like occult members. Like this chick from South Africa that reached out to me, sort of sent me an email or a letter in my blog. I responded to it thinking, oh, sister comfort. And then next thing she's like, cast a spell on me. It's like I can only draw witches to myself, and I don't know when this is ever gonna stop. I'm tired of perpetually just communicating the challenges I'm enduring at the hands of Labo Satan, and I really don't know what to say anymore or do. Except I guess get to this conclusion, because I'm not gonna rap on about that incendiary nightmarish thing I saw. That sexual perversion, not only that, but the death curse, the despair spells, the drive her to the edge, make her really want nothing to do with life anymore spells. I'm done describing them, because at this point I see what's going on. You, like, red thing that was once amber, and even though I picked all the amber, I didn't leave. I'm not doing it. Like, okay, I'll tell you a story. I'm gonna tell you a story real fast. Okay, I'm tired of talking. Like, I just want to watch something on Netflix to forget, because I'm also tired of watching the news, because I can't believe the level of anti-Semitism on the earth right now. It's taking me out of my chair, and I don't like that. But I guess it doesn't really matter what we don't like, those of us that are standing for Jesus, right? Because there comes a time when don't nobody care what we feel, or don't nobody care what we think. So whatever, right? Do you, Amber Alert? Do you red like boing 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 sign on the forehead? Do you, and just completely graduate to heights of evil until there is nothing left of a human sentiency in you anymore? Like, do you? I had this friend back in the day, alright? She used to be one of my good peoples from high school. That's what's good. This like random female, okay, was a green in high school, and she was a green all the way up until just before I lost everything. She then started to get amber and graduated to red within a space of like 2 months, and I don't know what's going on with that, but it was brewing, this thing that graduated her to amber and then fast red. Maribu saying, we shall give her that for a name. Maribuseng. Because sometimes she was ready, sometimes she was greeny, sometimes she was orangey. Uyastricela. Weekends are roboto. Maribuseng. We'll give her the name Maribuseng. My former friend Maribuseng turned witch was made a witch by a random man. And you know what, guys? I would have been a witch. I probably I given the negitolali diding. My ex-boyfriend, it took him just a little bit longer to get to the height of my Maribuseng's man. Took my ex a little bit more time. And so it proper took me, I guess, it gave me an opportunity to repent and give my life over to the Lord Jesus Christ, that I might get out of a relationship where I was held hostage by witchcraft, where a spider probably thought I was a fly trapped in its web. Yeah, it took me getting born again to escape that entanglement. I otherwise would not have escaped it. You know why? Because I would have ended up like Maribuseng. And I'm here about to tell you a story about Maribuseng. Hang 10 to your seatbelts, however 5 of you are looking at me right now, because you might just be edified. And especially if you're females, or maybe even if you are males. You might just want to demote yourselves from graduating to amber, because it is not cute, guys. When you lose your feeling, your emotion, when you lose touch with the side of you that actually cared about your girl, when you start to act a fool, become pompous because you got a promotion on the job, when you stop being humble and now so tella because all the girls are crushing on you in the office because you bought a new car. Yeah, allow me to bring that down real steamy. That's what's good. That you might recognize what a menace you ultimately become, and so, I don't know, maybe avoid ending up like my ex. Don't go all the way to green. Not green, red. Repent. Do that. Repent. Nembana. Do that. Because there's nothing swaggerfied, neither fantastic, about becoming monsters because utsiba lawyer, or because you have found a way to manipulate a person, jefela, roaming around in these streets that used to think she can trust you, and now agazingin. Something is putrefying in the sky, and she knows it's you, but she's in denial because how does a person change overnight like that, king? Anyway. Listen, my girl Maribuseng, I was so happy for her when she done fell in love, you guys, because it was really rough for Maribuseng when we were on the come up, because Maribuseng, out of the whole crew of girlfriends, was kind of ghetto, and so she kind of had Kasi vibes influence, while the rest of us were these gentrified randos bakori sabab sing. She was the only one that lived in the hood, and so basically one of the other friends of mine, Soweto for a season, but then they moved to the burbs somewhere in the middle of high school. Plus she had a father that was with an iron fist, yeah. So never no escape. Maribuseng, the rules were a little bit more loose. Plus, Soweto kids kind of go under the radar a lot because Soweto is busy, hectic, and it's hard for parents to surveil what them kids are doing. And my girl was a Soweto resident, a Soweto teenager. Out of all of us. So, unahlanya the most. Frankly, unahlanya the most. I'm not saying that kids from Soweto bahlanya, mara Soweto, there's a lot more leg room for kids growing up in the hood than there is for the suburban randos that don't have many options in the burbs, that are boring and very quiet. Let's just put that out there. So, she was faster than the rest of us, and she was always dating these rough guys. Hi man, almost bordering guys, on gangsters, guys that none of us would have ever touched, guys that none of us would have ever spoken to, guys that couldn't piece together a whole English sentence without getting out of line grammatically. Yeah, a bopapa action type setup thing. And I used to ask myself, girl, your mama and your daddy done taken you to English, to the Model C schools. Since you were in primary school, so it's not like you've been in the yizo vibe. Ever. You always used to get on a kumbi to some of the suburbs ever since you were in primary school. So how in the world did you get entangled in all that? It's something about these Lani boys, buddy Model C, buddy Wham, buddy Twang, that speak through their nose. What's so off-putting about them? Exactly. Why was I Jole fella some snob guy? Cause proper on that day, at least you get to avoid a myriad of dangers. But no, she liked herself for the ghetto gassy thing. Una rata like no man's business. So she used to date these rough around the edge guys. And it was troubling for all of us, but you know what, girl, do you? And her stories were always very extreme. And she, because of the fact that she was the only one dating guys that used to drive cars, and she also was the only one dating guys that were old, like as in like they're in their 20s. What are we, like 16 in high school, 15? And this chick is out here roaming these streets with like a 22, 23-year-old, maybe even 26-year-old guy. And I'm like, whoa, okay, it's intense. And I mean, if a 26-year-old is busy pursuing a 15-year-old girl, I mean, there's nothing good going on over there. I don't care if you're black, don't crack, so you practically look 20 as a 26-year-old. Bottom line is you're 26 and you probably don't have a proper like 9-to-5 job where you're clocking in. And so responsibly seeing other 24, 5-year-olds that you can shella in the office, you are kasi bound. We are panda. You are pandering. That's what's good. You're not, tabulated in the statistics of South Africa and the employment statistics because we are panda. That's who you are. You're hustling. Hard knock. Hey, but guys, how in the world did I ever end up with a guy like that? I don't understand. Like, I was a snob, Mina. I was not supposed to be like this random female, but I almost ended up like her with this dude in America, proper. Yes, like it. Yes, rough. I blame my sorrow, because if Nikila right, I would have been like, ew, how you're not in my league, but that was the kind of guy that was in the league of my girl. So let's just keep on talking about Maribu Singh. She used to date guys that obviously did not have 9-to-5 jobs. They were not like getting in a taxi or getting in a car every day to clock into some corporate in South Africa. But somehow they had money. They had matriculated. They were not studying, but somehow they had money. So, I mean, what is it? Is that basic? Anyway, sorry, I'll speak in English. Yeah, and there was one such guy that she was dating. And she just like really liked him. Oh, she kept on this kid. Let's say his name was Peter. She was always like, oh, Peter. And something inside me knew that Peter was not serious with my girl. He was not serious with her because, one, she was so young. She was a kid that was willing to jola nentotinyana in the gasi that pandas every so often a couple of rents. And so this guy's busy with other high school girls that are prepared to be with him. And the other rent, like, he had to be with a high school girl because that's just the thing. Guys like that need to be with high school girls because women their age, they are responsible, they have grown, they are working in call centers, they're like in university, they're doing whatever, and they're not trying to join a guy that after matric, don't nobody know Gresham how he's able to feed himself day to day. Like, they tend to leave such guys behind. So he obviously, if at all he's going to get his fill of romance in, he's going to have to focus on some kids. He's going to have to go into high schools because when you're in high school, it's very unfortunate. I don't even know why that's a thing. I apologize. I don't even know why that's a thing. But when you're, yeah, of course, my environment is nasty. You all know, okay? I live in a shack at the back of my mom's house, so it ain't cute. Don't be dissing my environment. I'm getting out one of these days. Understand it's happening. Anyway, whatever. Let's get back to the point, guys. Yeah, when you're in high school, like, it's just it's such an unfortunate thing, which is why people should just wait to, like, get involved in romance after 25, because apparently, allegedly, that's when your brain is fully developed. Before then, it's just dangerous, because you don't see danger, you don't see that alarm bell, turning green, turning red, turning yellow. Some people graduate from green, like, straight away and skip right past amber, so you don't even get a warning, like, change overnight, like what happened with my older sister. But anyway, whatever, those that give you an amber alert, I'm here to implore you to just get out, get the step in, and more than anything, just get born again. Yeah, anyway, yeah, because that's the only way to get out from under indoteglisile. So let's just talk, alright? When you're in high school, you are strangely not thinking properly about the guy that you're dating, especially when he's older, when he's out of school. Like, if he's not in matric and you're in grade 10, you don't know what's going on with this guy. You don't know what his future plans are. He's not in, like, yeah, every day you don't know what he's doing when he wakes up. And the day's now here. What are we gonna do with it? All these 24 hours gazing upon me. Yeah. And you don't even ask. I told you I got a cough. You don't even ask. And I know that I did that. Like, I did that when I was dating in high school. When I dated the first guy that I dated that was out of high school. When I was in high school. My first was in matric when I was in grade 10. But then when I was in grade 11, our relationship had ended because he had acted a monster fool. And then the next guy after him was 4 whole years older than me. He was 21 and I was 17. And he was, well, out of school for some years. And I did not ask. Didn't ask. Didn't ask. I knew where my ex went. Like, I knew what the one, that was my first love. When I was in grade 10, he was in matric. Yeah. I knew he was in matric at his, when the matric year, gross. When the matric year ended, I went and I bought a newspaper to find his name therein. Do they still do that? To look for his name. On some, my boyfriend passed. Like, yeah. That's, I think, a healthy-ish relationship. But he became a witch later on, so let's not give him too much kudos. But let's go back to the 21-year-old. When I was 17, did not ask no questions, guys. I know that's bad English, because I'm talking here about people who would say, like, speak a sentence like that and see nothing wrong with the double negative. Did not ask no questions. About this random. Did not ask. So I knew what high school he went to. That was about it. But in terms of what he did, I knew that he was not going anywhere every day. He was just kind of hanging out in the Ghazi. He's 21. Whoa, when I was 21, I'm sorry, I was working. I was supposed to be finishing my last year at university, but because I had to drop out due to my mom not paying my fees, I had already gotten into a learnership program with Liberty Life, and I was going somewhere every morning. I was waking up from Tladisoweto to Randbeck. So let's just put that out there. I was going somewhere every day at 21, but like somehow, some way, I managed when I was just 17 to be with somebody that did not do anything of that nature. Anywho, anyhow, so I didn't ask questions, and yeah, it's so bad that I didn't even know his surname. His surname. I remember one time, a good like year into our relationship, he asked me what my surname is when we were standing outside of where he stayed, waiting for friends to join us, pick us up so we could go partying. And so because we were passing time with the conversation, he was like, so by the way, what's your surname? And I realized at that stage that I've been dating this guy for a year and he doesn't know my surname. I was like, my surname is Hlongwane, and yours? And then I found his out. I was like, oh, haha. I mean, really, like, so the whole time all we did was fornicate. Yeah, and that's it. That's and drink and party and all that jazz, but not really get to know people. That's why I get away thinking recreational dating, don't do it. And if you can, I really just hold out until you're 25 before you like think about getting into the dating game. Because then if you like get married at that stage, you are wise enough and smart enough to, I guess, be able to recognize Amber Alert to red to a point where you're like, no, I'm sorry, this is a relationship, I'm leaving, I'm not doing it. I'm waiting on God, even if it means I'm gonna turn 34 single, like proper, like let it happen. Otherwise, lole man, I'm 39, I've never been married, but really the largest reason why I've never been married is because and I've been put underground by God for his own purposes. And a lot of them came from these, like all of these guys that had Amber Alerts and red alerts that I just ignored. And now I'm a victim of a whole bunch of Abo Madibuseng. And I had a Madibuseng friend in school. And I'm trying to help you understand, women, that you do get to a point where now where you're like a Madibuseng. Okay? You become a mean, bitter, hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned rando that ultimately then wants other women to become just like you because of the mistakes that you made. Now, make no mistakes, my fury is also rife, and hell hath no fury like my scorn. True. But I'm born again, and that makes all the difference. So it's worth a while for y'all to listen to me. Salvation made the difference as to the kinds of stories that I get to tell at 39 versus my also 39-year-old, Madibuseng friend. We're both 39, but with different stories altogether. And I think mine is better, even though I'm also bitter. Like I am. I'm not lying. I'm not gonna be stand out here and say, I'm bitter, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm this, I'm an angry black woman. I've been manufactured just like all black girls get made into angry black women, but the Holy Spirit makes all the difference. I'm just saying. So listen up, right? So Madibuseng also dated guys like those, but Madibuseng, I mean, since we were very little, like 15, 16, not even there, and suddenly busy already with like dudes from like, outside of school and no, not university, that don't wake up and go and clock into a job or even open a spaza shop or something. Something that you can see is an honest living, for crying out loud. Yeah, no. She was dating this like dude that could have been like 25 at 15 or 24 or whatever, so almost a decade older, however probably looking like a teenager because they keep themselves looking like kids when they start to head for 30 because they can only ever be with kids at that age, given that they've left themselves in kid mode. And she would date these guys and not know very much about what they're doing for a living, just as we all never really inquired. What do you do for a living? What's going on? Yeah. So obviously this guy was just kind of like toying around with her. These guys were toying around with her. And her relationships, it was not just one, it was like quite a few of them. And her relationships, like in 1 year, she would go through maybe like 3 of them or 4 because they were always breaking up. And so I never ever felt where my friend was concerned, like she was in something lasting and healthy. Do you understand? I knew that what she was in was not good, and it made me feel like, as this friend of mine, she will never find love. She will never be adored by a man. She will never get to a point where like she's got something as solid. She will always be a side piece. Like I knew she was a side piece. I knew she was not a man. I knew Njefela she was umakwapeni. Unaduzi, she was always in the passenger seat of some guy, and all these boys would be like, hello Nana, when they saw her in the weekends when this guy was driving his red car or whatever. And for them it was like yet another Nana. And you know, when you are Obambilo and Jefela as somebody that's going to be whatever for the day, yeah, nobody really respects you, but they're sweet to you and they kind of squeeze your cheeks. I was like, yo, she will never taste what it's like to be made. She will never taste what it's like to be rechte, because she's always just going to get dumped after a few months of a guy getting bored with her, because she's not the main chick. The main chick is somewhere else, maybe even a baby mama. Marash is not my girl, and I always knew that, and something inside me always wanted a more, but I don't want to judge, and I don't want to be the one to raise this as an issue. So I kept quiet, and I just looked, with pity upon my friend on some, girl, your skin is so clear. All of us are getting pimples, you're not popping any. You so pretty. And yet out here in these streets, you dating these randos and yeah, I didn't say anything though. Because all of us were just kind of like, squint, even though the rest of us were snobs. So my ghetto friend got to do whatever her ghetto random activity does, disrespect from guys, never really getting to be loved, respected, honored, elevated by a guy ever. Like this happened throughout high school. Unfortunate. I'm sorry. When my first love guy, Nikile, I was his medi. I knew love. Even though I was in a small little age and frankly I should not have been dating, I knew what it was like to be the regarded woman in a guy's life, to meet the parents and all that jazz, to have everybody know that Umedi, this guy. I knew what it was like and I wanted that for my friend, and she just didn't quite get it right. She did not get it right. She didn't get it right until we got out of high school. So my prayers were answered even though I was not really born again. Nonetheless, I hoped this and I sent it onto the universe, because I guess back then I was irreligious, so I guess I was sending out my hopes for my friend into the universe like a nice little pagan. And whatever it is that I sent out into the universe, I later came to discover was a good hope for a woman to just know love, because women don't live, neither survive, neither get very far without love. They become I hate you so much right now, like Khalees, and it's not healthy. I wanted my friend to experience, I wanted Umadibu saying to know better. So here it is that we matriculated, blah blah, water fish paste. Life progressed, okay, and all of us did whatever it is that we were doing, okay, still in contact, in touch with one another. Next thing, cheeky, it could have been 2 years after high school. 2 years now, let's say 2, maybe 3, but not so long after school. Most of us were still kind of, there were a lot that were still in school, yet to graduate type thing, higher learning institutions. I had told you guys that I had to drop out of this university, and then I ended up getting into some learnership program at Liberty Life, following which I then took myself to school later on, right? Back to school. So I was working. I had some random 9 to 5, but some of my friends were still properly skolong. So it was not that much, not that long after school, after high school, when my friend finally rocked up with good news, we hooked up one of our gatherings. Yes. My girls and I from high school made a decision to connect with each other at somebody's house as a little reunion. I mean, we were in touch, but because we were no longer in school and seeing each other every day, sometimes months would progress. Right? The only ones that used to see each other daily are the ones that went to the same university type thing, but largely it was stretches of months would progress. So we made a decision to hook up one time together to just old time's sake, and that's when we got the good news, where it is that the girl that was always just dating randos, okay, badi kusheshe grandship ditsotsi, because it was clear that they were tsotsis, they were gangsters, it was obvious. So how one did not bust a cap in her knee, I don't know, but you see, that's just the thing. Yeah, abazali, parents have got to train daughters to want more, to expect, even if these kids are growing up in the gasi, because grow up in a climate where girls are always just getting slapped. Grow up in a climate where a woman having alcohol poured on her face by an angry boyfriend is normal and everybody's just laughing at it. I mean, there are women who, if that happened to them, they would get out of a relationship because they grew up in an ecosystem where such things are just unacceptable. And guys have been taught decorum, or at least a minimum standard of being as a dude. So uklapwa is not a thing that just happens in that environment. Like getting slapped, it doesn't just happen in that environment. It doesn't. There are environments where women are shocked by a guy using the F word on them, the S word, swearing at them. Women are shocked at slaps. Like everybody in the room is like, oh no, you didn't. But then there are ecosystems where 24 hours a day flying kicks on girls' chests just happen. It's like part and parcel of the thing. And your girls at a party will comfort you. Nana. Sorry, girl, after your boyfriend slaps you with a backhanded slap, and all you can do is sob in the car and hope that when you go home, the two of y'all, he's not going to finish you off. Kokoloing as he's dropping you off. Like, just hope. You just get comforted. There is no calling an Uber and going home because my boyfriend slapped me. But you just still go back home with that guy. And he's still gonna have you type thing. And then you're gonna have to like grovel and beg and sweet talk your way out of his aggression until he comes down, and then maybe it might be like, you see, you made me do it. And you're still together. Next weekend you're still partying together, even though last week partying. Yo, and that's not something I was used to. Everybody know, I'm sorry, I never grew up among such like violent, rough crowds. Never. It just never happened. I had a cousin who grew up con Mami Lodi, and she was younger than me by 4 or 5 years, right? Or 3, I don't know. But she was closer to my other cousin who's also born around 1988. And my little cousin, who was always in the Johannesburg area, she was my best cousin's baby sister. Every time I would visit my cousin, her older sister, the stories we would hear from this little girl, and at that time she's like super young, like entering, just barely made it into teenage years. We are getting out of matric, and here it is that I'm visiting. We're all in high school, but like my baby cousin is like I said, barely entered into teenage years, so she's like in grade 8 or something. Yeah, guys. And then she would have visited my cousin who lives Komami Lodi for the weekend. Then we'd be like all sitting in the lounge, and then these stories would come out of this 14-year-old in the presence of 18-year-olds, in the presence of 19-year-olds. Hey, 19-year-olds that have never seen any such random violence. 18-year-olds that have never seen any such thing. So we ought to have had more experience in our bags, guys. And the stories coming from my cousin, every time she would visit Mami Lodi, murder, you know, murder, like as in R.I.P. D.E.D. dead, because don't nobody out here know how to spell dead. Stories like those. As a kulekasini, I'm sorry. My cousin would speak about like her cousin or our cousin, her friend from Mami Lodi. So she was closer to her because they were closer in age. And when she would visit her, my other cousin would tell my now cousin at whose house I am at her experiences last week or weekend before last. And some you know, kaka si pitorizela and I go to partying. Re busy re ndere besha dane teng go tswa sethunya ke ga go thwantswa go tlhokafala thomeka engwe sona le monna teng boli ba ba le thu ba ba tsaile mara nene na ba tla grensha po monna mothako ona mara mothako a ke re na emele girlfriend so ba le thu ba betsa ba tlhokafala so next weekend re ya lesong he batho. I'm sorry, I'm not going to interpret that. I'm trying. My cousin would be like, my goodness, last weekend we were at a party. Next thing, like a whole gun papa. We heard it in the sky. And then like one of my friends and her boyfriend passed away. But they really, frankly, who they were looking for was the boyfriend. But, you know, the girl was caught in the line of fire. And so now next weekend we're going to a double funeral. And these stories were coming out from my cousin in Mami Lodi. Like every, like 2 months, some kid under the age of 18 was dying. Just like that. Like so much gang violence. It's like it was like watching an American ghetto movie where like even drive-by shootings and everything are happening and everybody's drinking like beer out of like a brown bag and stuff in the gasi, like boys in the hood. Yeah, proper. My cousin in Mami Lodi used to live in a boys in the hood type lifestyle where people under the age of 21 are all just targeted for death before they get to 21. Yeah. And all of that, I did not understand it. And my cousin also didn't understand it. But every time she would go to Mamelodi, she would always just hear these stories. She would hear these stories. And among the things that always used to perpetually happen in that ecosystem were girls getting beaten, slapped silly, killed, murdered by boyfriends, and thrown in dustbins. Police, like, to find a guy that killed a friend of my cousin. And it's like, girl, how do you know so many dead people at like 17? Because I think she was older, yeah, than my cousin, maybe than my little cousin, by maybe a year or two. It's like, how do you know so many people at 16, 17? How under heaven do you know so many dead people? You're like my dad or my mom that has buried literally like 5 friends because time progressed. Except you haven't even exited your teenage years. That was what was going on with my cousin from Mamelodi. Nehole violent. She grew up in a very violent street crime, like, you know, mixed masala environment, ecosystem, whatever. And then nehole rafo da, nehose dese. Nehole monate Mamelodi rona ha re gola re lo chagada mara nna ke qadile go tshoga ke ga ke boifa every so often because ke mang mo life ngo batlang go kopana le sethunyanja fela a busy a fiela le bala ka fantle ke right there. No. My cousin was actually growing up in that ecosystem, and she got used to violence so much that to her it was okay to go on right ahead and salivate after the prospect of being with a guy that is wanted by the popo. Like, ikenza eli had knock. You know how in the Gassis, when you're living in a gangster riddle ecosystem, many of the gangsters are like Pablo Escobar, in that when it comes to people of their community where they grew up, they give them handouts and freebies, and so gangsters become very popular. But of course there are menaces in the suburbs where they're busy stealing people's cars, they're busy breaking and entering into people's homes, etc. So essentially they're highly wanted by the police, and they are the bane of society's existence, except for the communities where they come from. So when you're dealing with a popular gangster like Pablo Escobar in your ecosystem, of course you're going to have a whole bunch of girls having a crush on you. And my cousin dated a Pablo Escobar. It's not a Pablo Escobar. Not quite as prolific as Pablo Escobar, but I am making an example. She dated a gangster, a guy that was wanted by the police. In other words, he had a body count underneath his name. That's what's good. He had killed and stuff like that, and he was a menace in the neighboring, in Hatfield, where it is that the surrounding areas of Pretoria. He was busy breaking and entering into homes. He was hijacking cars. He was a sought after gangster. Do you understand what I'm saying? And my cousin went on right ahead and became his baby mama. Guys, I can't. I can't. How do you have such different people in one family? Like one family, but one side is like snobbish. It's a still tranquil, quiet lake, hey? And the other side is like a bubbling volcano, and like earthquakes 24 hours a day, thunderstorms. Grr. I don't know how that happened, but it happened in one family. And every so often, whenever my cousin would go and visit her bestie, she would come back with such stories where it is that kids under 18 were just dying in their numbers, dropping dead at parties where shootouts, drive-bys were happening. Shar, Joe. I don't even know how in the world she's still alive today, but thank God. Maybe sa khudile. I believe she's in her 30s now, so maybe usa relaxitse o tshetse, but she's definitely the baby mama of a guy that ultimately got caught. He got caught, thank God he didn't die. And so he's in prison. You know, when you try to bring down generational curses in the life of a person that did not ask for this to happen, how does a generational curse travel laterally, like across extended family? How about you just keep on going down into your descendants? Leave me alone on the outside. Like, I proper dated a gangster. This guy from America killing kids. How I ended up with a gangster is beyond me, but that's the thing. I got put into so much sorrow. I got put into so much devastation that I was like a child in high school that is dating a strange dude that has money. You don't know where the money is coming from, but he doesn't have a 9-to-5 job. He's not he does not have somewhere where he's waking up every morning to go and therefore explain for how it is that he's transferring all that money into your bank account, but you're not asking questions. That's the girlfriend of a gangster for you. That's the wife of a gangster for you. You don't care where the money's coming from, but you got a house. You don't care where the money's coming from, but you got a car. You don't care where the money's coming from, but bread is coming in. Just shut up and don't ask questions. But fortunately for me, I guess Karabo surfaced and I asked questions, and this guy just couldn't answer them, and he got passive aggressive. I was going to be the baby mama of a guy that was in and out of prison. Like proper. Like this cousin of mine, you know, enjoy the first 1 or 2 years. Newborn's life. And then after that, daddy gotta go be seen in prison and stuff like that. What in the world? I'm sorry, but like, no. So that is what under heaven was going on over there. So when I say girls growing up in the gasi, as in it's parents' responsibilities to teach them to not take slaps in their stride. We understand not everybody can get out of the hood. Not everybody can move out of Soweto. Not everybody can get out of Mamelodi. Do you understand? But as a parent, you can do as best as you can to basically make it clear to your daughter that the moment get out, the moment he swears at you, uses profanity at you, speaks to you in a particular way, hamba, because you're not going to be one of these rag dolls that are thrown against walls and next weekend you're hanging out with them again at another party with your bruise still healing. Like, parents can teach their girl children in the hood to just not take a slap in their stride. I've hung out with girls vele from the kasi, I guess gentrified enough to understand that it is not okay ukulunywa be with by a man, by a boyfriend. And it's also not okay just taking slaps in your stride. Every time when you go somewhere to a party, the kinds of parties that you even go to, there's a girl in the corner screaming every weekend, ah! And everybody understands that it's normal that. For a girl to be screaming because boyfriend trapa. Whoa! I did not attend so many parties where such a disturbance happened. Such a disturbance happened, but my cousin was constantly in such environments as those where who scream and just feel like, ah! Yeah, at a party, he's like, oh, some dude is busy slapping his girlfriend silly, and it's normal. Music carries on. DJ, increase the volume so we don't have to hear the disturbance. Yeah, there are certain things that people should just not take in their stride. But like, yeah, my girl was one of those. And now that I've described to you the way that my cousin was, let's go situation in Yezwan. She even fell pregnant, I believe she was still in high school, type setup thing, or like teenage pregnancies. Such things tend to happen among girls that have just taken a lot of nonsense in their stride. A lot of nonsense. Like, they have not allowed themselves to basically be snobs in dating. On some, I don't do that. Like, I'm not about to go out like that. What's going on? When you're the one girl in a high school, that's pregnant, I mean, obviously everybody's ridiculing you on that day, and you acting like you cool writing matric. There was a girl like that in my matric year, and I'm like, yeah, of course, ugeto. Is that basic? You've taken nonsense in your stride. You've just accepted it. Or some dude in the fella to impregnate. Only 18. How get them all coming here with a big fat belly in school? Teachers being like, oh, how far ahead are you? Like, it's cute. No, it ain't cute. What are you? Like 17, 18? You shouldn't be pregnant. But anyway, it is what it is. And I kept on watching them. I missed a couple of girls in the black community. And I told myself that, nah, I'm bigger than that. Look at me now. All these years down the line, nearly having settled for something of that strange nature. As a girl whose mom and dad has provided an ensuite bedroom in your and then you're gonna go and live in the back room of some guy's parents' house because now you're pregnant with his child. I saw some people go into that mode. That was some of my girls, and I was like, and your mama done like literally provided you a bedroom that has got its own bathroom. And now you're living Korumu, where in the middle of the night, rubbing your eyes ditoko, you gotta walk through the darkness to go and find the bathroom inside the main house to pee. Unlocking a house at 3 a.m. in the morning. Otherwise, when you had an ensuite toilet, when you had an ensuite bedroom, a bathroom linked to your bedroom in your mama's house, but now you're living with a boyfriend, go back room because you think it's romantic to be pregnant. Sure. That's the choices that black girls are making. And I was nearly in that situation. But thank God I got snapped out of it. I mean, I wouldn't have fallen pregnant out of wedlock. That definitely is true. But when you're with a guy that does not have a proper job and money is volatile in the sense that it could come in, and when it does come in, it's a lot of it, but it could also be dry for a very long amount of time because he's hustling. It ain't safe. And no, he's not an entrepreneur, he's a gangster. And he's trying to stay out of prison. One of these days, you're going to take your 2-year-old daughter to go and see a man in prison. That is what's going on. Because how that landed in my doorstep, I still don't understand. That's why I wish some people had like red alerts. People, like Imadibu saying vibes, like robot, don't you feel like that you can tell, okay, Lana, I can chill. Cause, not everybody what is this? There's no one on earth that's entirely trustworthy, because we all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We all suck. We all are full of low-key betrayal. But there are some people who are safer than others, and given that you can't allow yourself to be lonely for the rest of your days, there are some people that should give a pass, a go, despite, mood swings and whatnot, and others to be like, I didn't know, get out. And I'm trying to help you guys understand how to get to a place of I didn't know, get out. Okay? Don't even try. It's like, a hotbed of nonsense in the future. Putting yourself in a position to be that random insensitive woman, right, that does not love other women because you've been put in such a bad position by a bad man that now you can't stand women that still have the prospect. I mean, think about it this way, guys. If you have gone on right ahead at the age of 18 or 19, given some gangster a baby that ended up back in prison, all right, if that's you, can you imagine how you're gonna feel now that you've got this like 5-year-old? Huh, girl? Are you gonna be singing rockabye, baby, rockabye? Ooh, love, I don't want you to live like me, love. Yeah, you could imagine that you're gonna be bigger about it that way. But when you've got girlfriends around you that are finishing their degrees, you've got girlfriends around you that are being pursued and doted over by men with whole jobs, they are responsible, they clearly can pay ilobola yonke, and their track record speaks volumes for them. There's no police looking for them. They are trusted in their communities, and they are being proposed marriage to, and they're about to go and move into homes that are paid for by bondo that they applied for go banking, but not by some money that has been laundered, and so therefore the house one of these days could actually get repossessed because of how it was purchased type setup thing. When your girls are then in a stable environment of that nature, that's when it's going to catch up with you, teenage pregnancy. That's when it's going to catch up with you who's got a baby daddy in prison. That's when you're going to get so jealous. That is when you're going to get so embittered when you see your girls with a clean slate starting to basically do what it is that grown-up people do when they've just exited their teenage years. And this bitterness will turn you into a witch. This bitterness will turn you into a monster. This will make you refuse to let abangan bako. It will make you refuse to let your girls be whatever. And then when you're in South Africa and you've learned something called witchcraft, that's chayata girl, is that you? Hey, tlanontsolo ya maina, tlanontsolo thunya lerato va, tlanontsolo la ta re neilwe bu, re lebogile ha tlo le bona da, o busy ra ga lebo bu, o busy ka mo khoneng ka maina le pinky. You will properly go after your girls. Violet ga tlo itse lebitso la gage la boithu because of you. Iskim sakho sonke sabo girl. While you were busy fornicating with bad guys, but one of them made some other chick pregnant. That's what's good. You're gonna hate them for the fact that they've got a future. You're gonna hate them for the fact that there are men who love them, that aren't violent, that aren't beating them up, that are taking out home loans for crying out loud in order to make sure that as soon as they say I do, they move into a home responsibly acquired through means that are not questionable by the popo, have not gone on right ahead to launder 10 million gantu, hoping car business. Pablo Escobar. You're gonna start to become bitter, and that's what happened with me. That's what happened with many of my cousins, including violence. Everything violent 24 hours a day from the time you're a teenager. You've already got so many funerals you've attended. No, not abogogo, not of abogogo, but of your friends, of your guy friends, your girlfriends, people in your community, like proper stuff like that. That girl, right? She was the youngest one, fell pregnant before even her older sister. Type establishment thing, and cause people bitterness. Things like these cause people bitterness when you make bad decisions before bad decisions while you are sort of kind of dumb and thinking that this is love, it's romance, and you think that it is romantic to be Clyde to Bonnie, or romantic to be the girlfriend of a Pookie. In the US they call them Pookie. These guys that they're gangsters, and their girlfriends and baby mamas are not gangsters, they're not criminals, but they know about the criminal activity of their boyfriends, and they don't report them, they don't run away, they don't get out, and they end up sometimes even accessories to crime, or in a position to tell the police some story, some truth, and they don't, and so they find themselves in the crossfire of a criminal record due to the fact that they did not want to expose Pookie. When you glamorize a guy that is temporarily popular in a neighborhood for being a Robin Hood gangster, you are looking forward to a future of being a baby mama or besugang in jail and liteng when you are busy visiting this guy in prison, you might learn right there as you are visiting him on the Saturday when it's visiting hours in prison that there's another baby mama that comes here to see him, because they tend to spread their seed all across the ghetto. And then you find out when your kid is 2 years old that there's a 2-year-old other kid that is around that belongs to your baby daddy. Men like these. This guy from America, the Lord showed me, he confessed to me 2 kids that he had. And the Lord showed, and one of these kids, he was not actively taking care of. The other one, he was taking care of her, but then he went to prison when she was still a child, and so he did not finish taking care of her because of that. And now she's old enough to take care of herself. And I thought those were the only 2 roaming around in these streets. Like, the fact that was even a guy in my life is just throwing me off my chair right now. I don't even know how that happened. But, you know, when family neglects you, when you get treated like rubbish, sometimes as a woman, you end up settling for a lot of rubbish. And I took that in my stride. But once everything fell apart and we broke up, the Lord started flooding me with understanding concerning the fact that this guy doesn't have just 2 kids. If you had gone on right ahead to marry him, not only would he have given you HIV, but you would have found out about many other baby mamas that would have popped up out of the woodworks. Due to this guy being with you, he was going to start to look responsible and honorable as a human being. And you have got like a YouTube channel, and your life is like in front of cameras and what have you. They were gonna find him standing next to you, sitting next to you, acting like an honest man. And they were gonna be like, what in the world? Where in the world are you? How in the world are you living in such an environment as that? When your 5-year-old over here, it doesn't even have any diapers. When your 7-year-old over here, when your 15-year-old don't even, keeps on getting kicked out of school because daddy ain't here. Blah, blah. Like American women all up in my grill scratching at me because my husband is not paying maintenance. Like, the Lord showed me that was gonna happen. Like some dude in Jeffela with kids all across the US that he's not taking care of, and only 2 he owned up to. Only 2. So the kind of man that if you as a woman, you go and you besuk him because he got arrested, and you think that you're going to be ride or die like Ashanti because you think this is, oh baby, that's what's good. Or you're besuka when a guy in prison, and on the same day that you go besuk him, clash, like he somehow mistakenly did not quite for both baby mamas to come because he's been, juggling them. And then when you get to the gate over there and you ask, I'm here to see Stamaronza. And then the guard is like, sorry, there can only be 1 visitor per weekend on Stamaronza. You're gonna have to wait for the other visitor to leave for you to enter. And she's like, oh, Bani, who went to see Stamaronza? Can I see? In the book over there, is it the mom? And the chick is like, I don't know, no. And then the security guard is like, no, Stamaronza. His baby mama's visiting him. Type thing. And then you're like, baby what? Baby what? Next thing, you wait. You stand there with your daughter for 2 hours. Until baby mama comes out, and then you're like, sorry, hello OC. Next thing you be the boy is man. One is Monica, one is Brandy. On some, who are you? And who is this human individual, Omunyani Ona? What is going on? And this woman is like, hey, that's my baby daddy. That's the love of my life. And who are you? And who are you? And then there's this like whole altercation between females because some dude didn't tell you that at the same time he impregnated you, he impregnated her and her and her. And now all of them buy besuka on different weekends. Like one comes this weekend, the other, like every fortnight. He has literally told you, Ustamaronza, baby only comes to me every fortnight because other days my mom comes and I want to spend special time with my mom. Kanti, it's the other baby mama. Other baby mama of which might very likely also be more liked by the mom than you. And so how the mom ochaka with the other baby mama because she was the one that came in the picture first. Unamutseba from high school, stuff like that. Men of that nature, can we get alarm rings and sirens, please? I would have ended up that nasty monstrosity. Alright? And I got an ex-boyfriend today trying to kill me because he wanted to make me settle for such a man as that. He wanted me to end up in a relationship of that nature, and when things did not work out that way, because God delivered me, because God rescued me from just ending up in Jafela, because a man took away my glory. When that didn't happen, now he's embarrassed, and out of embarrassment for what eventually became of my life, he's trying to kill me. What in the world? You know Jola Rafraf? Yeah, no. So let's go back to Madibu Singh. How does this apply to Madibu Singh? Madibu Singh was a woman that was never ever cultivated in her a culture of getting out when a man does a thing. Because she grew up Ekasi, just like my cousin Wako Mamilodi. and the section of Igasi where ain't no parent is trying to basically care when you've got a blue eye and basically care, like it's one of those, oh no papa, no look pating, no wonder like the kind of mom or the kind of parents to basically say it's your fault when you come back with a broken arm as a girl, and they rebuke you for disappearing all weekend long. And instead of highlighting the fact that you've got a scratch that doesn't look right on your face, they're still yelling at you for coming home late. Like they call your bruises and your beatings a ramification of ukupapa kwakho, instead of recognizing that the dire situation here that should cause a mama to sit a girl down and be like, wenzani, in a relationship like this, let me tell you a little something about men. And get out. Like, teach a girl how in the world to protect herself in an ecosystem or environment where she can't get out of it because khojalo around, but at least she can incubate herself until she can take herself out of ikasi, until she can take herself out of the hood. But if you don't let the hood make you a woman with like a putty face, scratches all over you, a beautiful tumpa, and so your pusa face onsets real fast. I suga girl, yasin. I know. I was tanned. Is that basic? So my Madibu saying friend was trained from the time she was a teenage girl, rubbish in a guy, and when one rocked up that was slightly better than all the rest because he awarded her that coveted position of rechte. Awarded her finally. You know how she was always the side piece? I spoke about that earlier. She was always the side piece. She was always the chick on, that was never really truly given honor by a guy. When finally one at least graduated her to main chick, she took all of his abuse in her stride and said nothing to everybody all the way up until Amchata. Let's talk about Madibu saying. Next part.